who wants to end his life because he thinks that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. His life wasn't what it was supposed to be. He fell so far short of what he thought he could have been. And then before he ends his life, the angel comes to him and is like, oh, wait, George. No, let me show you. Let me show you the difference you made in the lives of the people that you know. And let me show you what their lives would have been like if you weren't there. Oh, it's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. And it makes him realize that how important his life was and is. And it garners such a deeper appreciation for who he is. And I just want to remind each and every one of you how important you are. Welcome to the Weekly Transit, your guide to understanding the current planetary and astral alignments. Together, we'll explore how to harness these cosmic frequencies, empowering you to reach your highest potential as you navigate the days ahead. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. This is the week of July 28th to August 3rd, where we will be covering 6 transits highlighted by Venus's transit into Cancer. We begin the week with the first transit being Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships, completing its transit through the mutable air sign symbolized by the twins and ruled by Mercury, the messenger of the gods, Gemini. Forming a sextile, a supportive aspect with Chiron, the wounded healer, in the Cardinal fire sign, symbolized by the ram and ruled by Mars, the god of war, Aries. So Venus in Gemini forming a sextile to Chiron in Aries. This is happening at 27 degrees, so take a look at your astrological code. Do you have any key astrological points or planets in air signs, fire signs, mutable signs, or fixed signs? These are the signs that are going to be aligning most closely to this aspect. The air signs are Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. The fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The mutable signs, 2 of which we've already mentioned, Gemini and Sagittarius, but also include Virgo and Pisces. The cardinal signs, 2 of which we've already mentioned, Aries and Libra, but also include Cancer and Capricorn. So take a look at your astrological code. Are there any key points or planets at or near to 27 degrees, and you are being directly affected by this alignment between Venus in Gemini sextile, Chiron in Aries? So what does this transit mean? What is it about? Well, first of all, it's occurring from Saturday to Tuesday, July 26th to the 29th. It's most strongly felt on Monday, July 28th. That is when the sextile is exact. So let's think about this. Venus in Gemini, the planet of relationships in the sign of communication. So relationships and communication, that's a theme. Chiron, the wound, in the sign of self-confidence. So a wound to self-confidence. This is an ideal time to be communicating in your relationships in order to quell any insecurities that you may have within these relationship dynamics. This is a good time to ask questions, gather information, gather the facts. If you're uncertain about something, or maybe even if you are certain about something, ask the question to confirm. Because what may be coming up in your relationships could have to do with your sense of insecurity, your fears. What are you afraid of in your relationships? What are you concerned about? That is what this aspect is about. What are you concerned about? What are you afraid of? Is there something that your partner is doing that is frustrating or annoying, or something that you may be doing that you feel is annoying or frustrating your partner, that is bringing up some sense of insecurity? Ask the question, hey, it feels like there's something off with you today. Is it something that I did? Did I say something? Did I do something? Let me know. I want to create peace and harmony in this relationship, and if I've said or done anything that has created tension here, let's relieve it. Tell me what's on your mind. And this is a really nice aspect to start the week off with, especially because it precedes Venus's transit into Cancer. So let's dive right into Venus and its transit into Cancer. This is the second transit of the week. Venus transits into the cardinal water sign, symbolized by the crab and ruled by the moon, the planet of emotions, transits into Cancer on Wednesday, July 30th, and will continue its transit through Cancer until August 25th. So July 30th to August 25th, Venus transits through Cancer. Previous dates that Venus has transited through Cancer: June 16th to July 11th, 2024, May 7th to June 5th, 2023, July 17th to August 11th, 2022, and June 2nd to 26th, 2021. So think back to those dates for clues on what could be in store for you this time around as Venus transits through Cancer. But this is the planet of relationships transiting through the sign of emotions, the sign that represents your roots, your upbringing, your childhood, the ones who raised and nurtured you, your ancestors, your bloodline. Think about the origins of your relationships. Your first relationship was most likely with your parents. So that relationship, the relationship you had, or you have, or I guess for everyone it would be had, because we're talking about past. It's not necessarily the relationship that you have with your parents right now, but the relationship that you had with your parents in the beginning. That set the foundation for all of your relationships moving forward. So in what ways have you recreated your relationship with your family in your relationships with your friends? Lord knows I've done it many, many times. I can't tell you how many times, whether it's been a friend or a lover or a business associate, somebody that I work with that reminds me of my dad. He seems to pop up more than my mom, but my mom is also there as well. And then getting more nuanced, different people in my life that have reminded me of my grandparents or cousins or aunts and uncles. You know, when you think about astrology too, it just, that, you know, when I've looked at the charts of people that I'm friends with, I'm like, oh wow, that does reflect my parents, or it does reflect my grandparents, or it does reflect cousins or aunts and uncles. I did this was a few months ago, a childhood friend Somebody who was like one of my babysitters growing up, she hired me. And I talked about this on the podcast earlier, so I apologize if you've heard this story already. But it was several months ago, and it feels appropriate to bring it up again now. But my friend who used to babysit me hired me to do her birthday party. So she paid me to do mini readings for people at her birthday party. So during the party, I collected the astrological codes of 44 people. And of those 44 people, 42 of them had at least one sign of the primal triad of my friend whose party it was and her 3 siblings. So between the 4 of them, my friend and her 3 siblings, 42 out of the 44 people at the party reflected at least one sign from the primal triad of the 4 siblings. I mean, the odds of that is like around 20%. But the point of that is how she has basically recreated a friend group that reflects her family. So that's something to think about during Venus's transit through Cancer, is thinking about the origins of your relationships. What traits are showing up in my present day relationships that remind me of the relationships that I have in my past, the relationships of my past? That's something to ponder, to really spend time reflecting on the past of your relationships. And in reflecting upon the past of your relationships, we're digging into the root and we're saying, which of these roots do I want to nurture and which do I want to pull out because they're no longer serving me? So what are the different traits that I've experienced in my relationships that have shown up over time? Do I want these traits to continue to perpetuate? Am I continuing to water these traits? Or am I recognizing that, you know what, these traits really don't work for me? I don't really like this. You know, Cancer is a water sign, so it's water can take different shapes. So when Venus transits through a water sign, and specifically Cancer, it creates an opportunity for you to reshape how you do relationships. And we're reshaping it based on our emotions, based on what we feel. Do you feel good around your friends? I've had friends that started to realize, like, I don't feel good when I'm around this person. So they've, washed away from my life. And life is precious. Time is very fleeting. So you really want to make sure that you're spending your time and your energy around people that support you in your emotional development, that you feel good when you are connecting with them. What are the relationships that you really want to nurture? What are the relationships worth nurturing? Hopefully, they're the ones that are kind. I want to be in relationship with people who are kind, who care about me. Because when I'm in relationship with somebody, I try to be kind because I care about the people that I'm in relationship with. So during this Venus in Cancer transit from July 30th to August 25th, you want to center around the themes of kindness, caring, nurturing. Do I feel nurtured by this relationship? Do I feel kindness from this individual? Do I feel cared for by the individual that I'm in relationship with? In what ways am I nurturing the people that I'm in relationship? In what ways am I kind to the people? Am I being kind to the people that I'm in relationship with? Or am I being unkind? If I'm being unkind, then something needs to be adjusted. In what ways am I caring for the people that I'm in relationship with? And if there are people that I'm in relationship with in my life that are being unkind, that aren't caring for me, and they're not nurturing me in any way, then I need to reflect upon the past, and I need to take a look at my past relationships in order to adjust or break the habit that I've created for myself since I arrived here on planet Earth and had my first relationship with my parents. This is the work for relationships during Venus's transit through Cancer. So the third transit of the week involves the Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in Leo. The Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in Leo. This means that the Sun and Mercury are meeting up at the same place in the sky at 9 degrees in the fixed fire sign symbolized by the lion and ruled by the Sun, the giver of light, life, and vitality, at 9 degrees in Leo. So take a look at your astrological code. Do you have any key astrological points or planets that are at or around 9 degrees in fire signs or fixed signs? The fire signs, again, are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. This conjunction between the Sun and Mercury lasts from Wednesday to Friday, July 30th to August 1st, with the exact conjunction occurring on July 31st. This is a beautiful transit. The opportunity here, the focus here is to open your heart and connect your heart to your mind. We want to speak from the heart. We want to listen from the heart. We want to speak with an open heart. We want to listen with an open heart. An open heart is strong. An open heart is bold. An open heart is full of love. So much love that it has to open. It's like a flower that's bloomed. An open heart is like a flower that's bloomed. It's like a peach that's ripened and you bite into it and it's so juicy and delicious. That's what an open heart is. A flower that's bloomed. It's so beautiful. It smells amazing. When you are living with an open heart, you are sharing the same joy that somebody experiences from looking at or smelling a fresh bloomed flower, a fresh bloomed rose. Or it's like tasting that delicious summer peach. So this week, speak from the heart. And it works so well with these earlier transits, right? When you think about Venus in Gemini, Sextile Chiron in Aries, that's having the courage to ask questions, and then Venus transits into Cancer, and now we have the ability to really tap into what we're feeling in our relationships. And if we're tapping into what we're feeling in our relationships, you can recognize if your heart feels open or closed. If it feels closed, then you need to nurture yourself. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to care for yourself. You need to spend time reflecting upon your past and say, where is that callus? Where does that callus stem from? It stems from the pain that was put there from my father or my mother or my aunt, my uncle, my grandfather, my cousin, my friend at school who wasn't my friend, who was insecure and took their insecurities out on me. We have these calluses on our heart, and with Venus's transit through Cancer, it's about helping remove the calluses. And as we remove the calluses, we open the heart. It's not necessarily easy, it's work. It's conscious work. It's spending time in those difficult moments and being there for your younger self, being kind to your younger self. So as we're kind to our younger self and we open our heart, this is where the words that you share with others are going to resonate. It's going to help them. It's going to help them open their hearts. They're going to be inspired by you and what you have to share, because what you're sharing comes from a place of joy, rooted in love. And that's going to inspire them to tap into their own joy and sense of love. The fourth transit of the week brings tension as the sun in Leo squares off with the moon in Scorpio. This occurs on Friday, August 1st at 5:40 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. This is tense because Scorpio is fixed water. Leo is fixed fire. They're both fixed, so they make a strong connection to each other, but fire boils water, water extinguishes fire. This is a 90-degree angle. If you're driving down the road and you need to make a 90-degree turn, you got to slow down. It's tense. If you try to press into the gas, like, you're going to spin out. So, where's the tension here? And this is happening along the same time as Mercury retrograde conjunct the sun in Leo. So as we're opening our hearts and sharing our joy, the moon in Scorpio frequency is pulling us back. Because Scorpio is symbolized by the scorpion. The scorpion doesn't want to be out in the sun. It wants to be in the corners, in the cracks, beneath the surface. So this is pushing us to view the darkness that exists within our past, within our family, how we developed our sense of intimacy, how we've learned to be vulnerable with others. Maybe there's pain there. Maybe there's some form of abuse that caused you to want to recoil and hide in the cracks and corners of your life. But now the sun is drawing us out. The sun is drawing us out and saying, in order to heal the wound to your self-confidence within your relationships, in order to nurture yourself and to create nurturing relationships that are built on the foundations of kindness and caring, you must be willing to be vulnerable. You must be willing to show your heart to those that you are intimate with, showing them your pain and allowing them to show their pain to you. When you show somebody your pain, you put yourself in a very vulnerable position. It's not easy to do. But the planets are supporting us in doing so right now. The final two transits of the week involve Venus, again, in Cancer, squaring off with Saturn, retrograde in Aries, and Neptune, retrograde in Aries. These aspects both occur at 1 degree from Wednesday to Saturday, July 30th to August 2nd, with the exact square occurring on Friday, August 1st. This is beautiful. It's intense, but it's beautiful. There's deep work that's happening here. I hope you can feel it. Deep, deep work. Deep healing work. It's really going down and cleansing the rotted soil. The rotted soil of the story of your life. My God, whose life has been perfect? Who looks back and says, my life, every single experience has been perfect. It's been wonderful. I mean, I can say that now. So I guess maybe I do. But there's trauma there. There's trauma in the past. There are experiences that I had in my past that I never want to have again. And I can't imagine anyone saying that there's no experiences in their past that they wished, that they would hope they would never have to happen again. Maybe you feel grateful that you went through it because you learned the lesson, like we've always said. You're perfect and everything that's happening to you is happening for a reason. It's happening for you. It's not happening to you. But that being said, you look back in the past and you're like, yeah, I hope that never happens to me again. I don't want to have to go through that experience again. Well, these transits with Venus in Cancer squaring Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Aries are encouraging us to go back there to our past. So Saturn is the god of wealth and time, the planet of restriction, responsibility, hard work, achievement, authority. Neptune is the god of fresh water and the sea, the planet of illusion, deception, compassion, and intuition. Venus's transit through Cancer squaring Saturn's retrograde transit through Aries is saying, do you have the courage to take responsibility for your past? Do you have the courage to go back into your past and nurture yourself in those periods within your relationships, whether it be your relationship with your mother, your father, any other family member or friend, and nurture yourself in those moments where you weren't nurtured? I mean, I can think back to moments where I look at myself and I'm like, I wasn't being treated well in that moment. And in that moment now, I want to go back and I want to stand up for myself. And I want to tell the person who's doing whatever they're doing to me or saying whatever they're saying to me that that's not okay. That's not okay. You need to treat me better. And when you're able to say that you need to treat me better, you're treating yourself better. You realize that you deserve better. You deserve more love. That's what Saturn and Aries is about, is taking responsibility for the love that you deserve. But you might say, well, I don't deserve love. I've done all these bad things. I was the person on the other side. I was the person on the other side that did something that hurt somebody else. Well, in that moment, you need to go back to yourself and say, hey, stop it. I see what you're doing here. It's not nice. It's unkind. But I understand why you did it. You did it because you were in pain, because you had not been loved and nurtured. You were insecure. And so you took out that pain and those insecurities out on someone else. So I'm going to give you that love right now. I'm going to give you the love that you needed in that moment so that you wouldn't harm the person that you harmed. So you could be kind instead of harsh. Nice instead of nasty. And Neptune, the god of fresh water and the sea, the planet of illusion, deception, compassion, and intuition, is saying, do you have the ability to be compassionate to yourself? Which takes us back to that moment where it's like, well, I don't deserve love. Yes, you do. You do deserve love. You deserve more love than you're giving yourself right now. I don't care how much you think you love yourself right now. You deserve to receive more. The love you deserve to receive, the love you deserve to receive should be limitless, unconditional. We don't really have the capacity to do that in these limiting bodies that encapsulate our souls, the physical manifestation of our soul, but we can harness from God, the universe, whatever higher power you believe in, and say, give me more love. I needed more love in that moment. I needed more love in that moment. I need more love in this moment. I need more love in this moment so that I can go back in the past and I can be there with my younger self that did that thing that I now look back upon and I say, oh my God, how could you treat this person that way? I love you. I forgive you. You needed more love in this moment. That's why you did what you did. So I'm giving you more love in that moment so you can have more love in this moment. There's a real, this just doesn't feel easy. Cancer is cardinal water. Aries is cardinal fire. Both cardinal, they make a strong aspect to each other. But fire boils water, water extinguishes fire. Just like we had with the half moon. The sun in Leo squaring the moon in Scorpio. So there's a lot of tension at the end of the week. But it's that tension that is going to help you heal. It's going to help you heal doing surgery on your heart. So do you have the capacity to be kind to yourself, to take responsibility for what it means to love yourself? Do you have the ability to show yourself compassion for the love that you don't think you deserve? If the answer is no, then I send you my love. I remind you of the great story, It's a Wonderful Life, which has just popped up into my mind so much recently. It's just such a great reminder that film, and if you haven't seen this film, it came out in like 1947, but my God, every time I watch it, I cry for like the last 30 minutes. Because it's such a beautiful reminder that your life has incredible value. Incredible value. Like priceless. When you see this character, this main character, who wants to end his life because he thinks that he didn't do what he was supposed to do. His life wasn't what it was supposed to be. He fell so far short of what he thought he could have been. And then before he ends his life, the angel comes to him and is like, oh, wait, George. No, let me show you. Let me show you the difference you made in the lives of the people that you know. And let me show you what their lives would have been like if you weren't there. Oh, it's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. And it makes him realize that how important his life was and is. And it garners such a deeper appreciation for who he is. And I just want to remind each and every one of you how important you are to every single person in your life. How important you are to me, that you're out there listening. When you reach out to me and share that what I've shared with you has helped you in some way, when you connect with me for a reading, it means a lot to me. It fuels me. So when I hear that I'm fueling you, it's like, wow, that's a wonderful mutual exchange. You know, when my dad died 17 years ago, there were over 700 people at his funeral service. It was standing room only. There were people outside in the street and in adjoining rooms listening over the speakers to what was being said in the main room. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, did he have any idea? Did he have any idea how many people he touched and how much he meant to them? And I remember one of my uncles saying, I'd be lucky to have 10 people at my funeral. That was his perspective on himself, and maybe it's true. And if that's you thinking that out there, maybe it's true, you know? Maybe I'm somebody who would only get 10 people at a funeral, but that doesn't lessen the impact. It doesn't lessen the impact of that you've had on those 10 people. Because that impact resonates from those 10 to the 10 people in their life, and so on and so forth, exponentially. That's the power that you have. So I just want to encourage you and remind you of this so that it gives you a boost to nurture yourself and be kind and caring to yourself as Venus transits through Cancer. And of course, if you're curious to learn how this transit of Venus in Cancer is affecting you directly and how to work with the energy, then I encourage you to contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. Remember that if you were born with key astrological points in Aries or Libra, this transit of Venus in Cancer will be met with challenges. For instance, everyone who was born between 1972, 73, and 83, 84 was born with Pluto in Libra, which means during this period between July 30th and August 25th, at some point during that time, Venus is going to square your Pluto, which means you're going to go through a death and rebirth of your relationship energy, of your senses, your likes and dislikes. You may go through a breakup. You may go through an ending of your relationship. You may go through a experience where you feel like your relationship has ended, but then it's reborn in some way. It's changed. It's irreparably transformed. So be mindful of where Venus is transiting in your chart in relation to any planets that you have in Aries or Libra. What are the nature of those planets in Aries and Libra? You know, Pluto in Libra, Pluto's the god of death, so that's the energy. It's the planet of transformation. So Everybody who's born between 73 and 84 is going to experience a death to their relationships in some way, shape, or form. It happens every year. That's why I put those other dates from the past to remind you. And like, okay, like look back at your photos, your social media posts, your text messages, your emails. I'll give you insight into what was going on in your life if you don't remember off the top of your head. I also want to share with you, before we go, a piece that I wrote. For those of you that have been listening the last few weeks, I've been writing essays on the historical implications of some of these transits that are very unique. For instance, Venus's transit through Cancer, squaring Saturn and Neptune and Aries, is a very unique transit. It's not something that happens every year. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So I'm going to share with you what I wrote. If you'd like to read this, I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter that I send out on Monday or Tuesday. I'm also posting it on my new Substack. So if you are into Substack, you can subscribe to my Substack to read these essays. And I'm also doing the spoken word on there as well. But I wanted to share that with you here on the podcast. So Venus in Cancer squares Neptune in Aries. This is a rare alignment echoing ancient patterns. Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, and values, enters the nurturing waters of Cancer this week, only to immediately clash with two of the most formidable forces in the sky, Saturn and Neptune, both transiting Aries, the sign of war, willpower, and raw beginnings. Venus in Cancer longs for connection, security, and emotional sanctuary. But as this transit squares off with Saturn, the god of wealth and time, and Neptune, the nebulous god of water, Venus is met with a double-edged message. What you love may not be safe, and what you fear may not even be real. This configuration carries echoes of alignments from centuries past, patterns that have historically marked profound shifts in how humanity approaches love, power, and truth. The last time Venus in Cancer squared both Saturn and Neptune simultaneously in Aries was August of 1379, when comparable celestial tensions played out against a world in transformation. So what whispers across time from then to now? 1739, a world on the edge of collapse and rebirth. The world of 1379 was caught in the throes of upheaval. The Catholic Church, long the unshakable center of power, was spiraling into chaos. Within a year, two rival popes would divide Europe's spiritual core in what became the Great Western Schism. Faith became political power and illusion. Sound familiar? The 100 Years' War between England and France was devouring resources. Tax revolts were stirring. National identities were hardening. The people, the common people, were being squeezed between a collapsing feudal order and the rise of centralized kingdoms. And yet, in the shadows, something new was gestating. Mystics, artists, and reformers were quietly questioning the hierarchy. Catherine of Siena was pleading with the papacy for humility and reform. The whispers of the Renaissance were beginning. It was a time of disillusionment and spiritual awakening. violence and vision, crumbling power structures, and creative realignment. A moment not unlike our own. 2025, love at a crossroads. These ancient patterns are stirring once more as trust in traditional structures dissolves under unprecedented scrutiny. Across the spectrum, governmental, media, scientific, and religious, we are witnessing institutions grapple with questions of authority and authenticity. Truth feels increasingly elusive, and the line between integrity and illusion grows thinner by the day. It's yet another reminder that we are still living within the dreamscape of the age of Pisces, a time of savior complexes, blurred realities, and mass production of spiritual authority. Venus in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries. Love meets law. Tenderness confronts tyranny. Venus squares Neptune in Aries. Dreams blur into delusions, and fantasies of heroism veil dangerous agendas. This is not a time to project salvation onto external authorities. This is a time to return to the health of your own values, to recognize where you've outsourced safety, devotion, or meaning, and gently reclaim it. Tracing the thread, Venus in Cancer from 2021 to 2024. Venus moves through Cancer each year, but this time Venus's rare square to Saturn and Neptune brings the journey full circle. Let's trace the emotional story Venus has been telling quietly, insistently over the past 4 years. June 2nd to 26th, 2021. Venus in Cancer arrived just as the world cautiously emerged from COVID lockdowns. Grief lingered in the collective field. The craving for touch, home, and belonging surged. Real estate markets soared as people sought safety in place, but the emotional cost of what was lost had only begun to register. Now in 2025, the cracks of those comfort strategies are visible. The question isn't where is home, but is the home I've built aligned with my soul? July 17th to August 11th, 2022, Venus in Cancer returns amid a wave of cultural polarization. The U.S. was deep into its Pluto return. Patriotism sharpened, borders hardened. In the wake of the Roe v. Wade reversal, body sovereignty, maternal care, and domestic safety came under fire. Now in 2025, we're seeing the long-term consequences of those wounds: distrust, division, and a yearning to reclaim softness in a world that's grown armored. May 7th to June 5th, 2023. Venus joined Mars in Cancer as Pluto took its first bold steps into Aquarius. Emotional labor became a public conversation. Caregiving, motherhood, partnership, each exposed where exhaustion was masked by strength. The performance of holding it all together began to collapse. Now in 2025, the cost of overgiving is undeniable. Saturn asks for boundaries. Neptune demands compassion without illusion. Venus must choose between martyrdom and nourishment. June 16th to July 11th, 2024. Just 1 year ago, Venus entered Cancer during a summer of subtle unraveling. Climate disasters worsened, displacement grew, geopolitical tensions rose, and yet many clung quietly to the familiar. In private moments, a collective sense emerged. Something is shifting. Now, in 2025, that sense is no longer abstract. The disillusionment has taken form. What we couldn't quite name last year has arrived at our doorstep. A threshold moment. Venus visits Cancer every year, but rarely does Venus arrive at the gates of Saturn and Neptune like this. Since 2021, Venus has been preparing us gently, persistently for this reckoning. What began as longing is now a call to mature. What began as protection is now an invitation to soften without illusion. What began as caregiving is now a question of boundaries, reciprocity, and truth. This is not just another transit. This is a threshold. What does this mean for you? This week may feel tender, raw, or nostalgic. Old heartbreaks or ancestral wounds around home, love, or safety may surface, not to punish, but to repattern. You're being asked, what do I really need to feel secure? Where am I being seduced by a fantasy that distorts my truth? What traditions or structures no longer support who I am becoming? You are standing at the edge of an age, just like they were in 1379. The collapse is real, but so is the renewal. You are not meant to face this alone, but you are meant to face it awake. Let love not armor, but refuge. Let care be your courage. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you feel empowered in the week ahead. And if you're still listening, I hope you go and like or subscribe to this channel wherever you're listening. Give us a positive rating, and I'll look forward to reconnecting with you next week. Thank you for listening to the weekly transit. If you're curious to learn how these transits or any other transits may be affecting you, or if you're interested in learning more about your astrological code, contact me for a reading at theweeklytransit.com. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog Lyman. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.